Hello, and thank you for being part of Art Rocks with me, James Fox Smith, publisher of Country Roads magazine. The illuminating power of poetry has always been that it makes us reflect on and connect with the parts of life that might otherwise pass unnoticed. Caddo Parish's Poet Laureate, Poetic X, believes deeply in that power. Who needs poetry, he says? Everybody.
Sunset Gallery is a poem that I wrote for the National Endowment of the Arts. The chairman at that time was Rocco Lansman. He was visiting the city of Shreveport, so I was called to write a commission piece for the event. Art is a product of man, in which materials and tools are skillfully used to relate or communicate to a human experience. The walls cried applied perseverance. I anticipated to be animated by every room. My heart is a product of art, it belittles me not to bloom. My day is full of ocean spray, plus I'm married to the moon. She loves the nightlight, but that's all right. She'll return soon. Full of stories, hands full of blackberries she picked out the forest. And before she can open her mouth, I'll become filled with God's will. And the dolphins, the mermaids, the desert plains and the cascades, the gravity, the cornerstone the imagination sits on, the Sunset Gallery. I have embraced poetry because it has been very important to me over the years to have self-awareness, better understanding of my surroundings, and how to communicate messages thoroughly to other persons. I often write about history, art, philosophy, variety of subjects, etymology, metaphysics, botany, human anatomy, astronomy, a variety of subjects, life experiences, controversial issues, social topics, wherever my mind may go at that time, from watching my surroundings and what's taking place, then I write according to what I see. Once I zoom in on a particular subject, I began to take mental notes, and the mental notes began to put themselves together in an orderly fashion, and then I document, and then I'm able to put a picture back together, and then the objective for me is to make sure that message is transferred soundly, making sure that whatever's complex, I may simplify. Poetry is needed now more than ever because persons are having difficulty understanding themselves. When I observe humanity and a lot of issues, especially gun violence, then I become more dedicated to presenting poetry and want to provide a solution for the cause. There is so much spiritual information moving in between spaces, and persons are so busy with their lifestyles that they're not usually able to identify what is moving in between spaces. I'm into etymology. I like to put words together to where the message can properly be relayed, that person can understand more than being human, that they are supernatural, that they are phenomenal, and that they may, through my writings and other works, be able to pinpoint it when they see signs of spirituality moving in the physical. When I see persons or people getting the message, it's very motivating when I'm reading or performing poetry. Not oftentimes do persons get it, but usually I know once they too are able to sit with themselves, they can come back and they'll reflect, especially if they're reading my written work. Then they may look in the written work and then see the message up closer than they may do when I'm reciting. Once I read some of King David in the Bible, I found a reflection of myself. And David, the word David itself, enlightened me to just move forward, to separate selves from distortion, to separate self from wickedness, or to be instrumental in what I'm saying is providing music. The message is more important to me when writing, but I usually rhyme. I call it the X factor, where I want to make sure that there's a pattern and repetition that shows that there is a rhythm in the poetry. It helps with memorization. I think that being lyrical gives your written material longevity. Just as nursery rhymes have been around for a while. So if you can land the message properly, it'll last for a while. But it doesn't necessarily have to be lyrical to have longevity. The message can be so strong and direct to what's going on, then it too will last a very long time. Poetic X is a poetry book that I self-published, Speak a Million Publishing. The 10 is significant because every poem has a distinct impression. So you can find that if it's 10 lines, that if it's 10 words, maybe there's a symbol inside of a poem 10 times. There's a to-do-it-yourself poem where it's 10 lines left blank for persons to just fill in the poem as they would like for themselves. But every poem is a 10-liner and is family-friendly, fun. I was self-taught. I learned in the school of nature where I began to observe my surroundings and to write. And then parts and pieces began to manifest. Persons showed up in the form of information. So I was inquisitive about a destination that I wanted to go to. Someone appeared, and then I was able to move further along. Then I would perform, and then someone else appeared, and then I would be able to move further along. I've been consistent. When the phone rings for an opportunity, I'm there. I have a few poems that I really would like for humanity to grasp a hold of in due time, even if classrooms sit down, a professor sit down and have college student organizations sit down and just study my poetry. Keep hope alive. I use hope in the poem maybe about 75 to 100 times, just showing how very important it is for hope to be implemented in societies. Journey of the Candid X-Man is another poem that I hope persons will look into more because it's explaining spirituality in a simplified fashion. A Little Hell Ain't Hurt Nobody is a poem that I recently wrote that I surely would like as well for persons to grasp a hold of. Black is the Bass is a poem that I wrote highlighting black artists in music, black publications that has contributed to music history. It's a groovy piece, and it's musical, it's lyrical, very much so. I think person would be able to really embrace that. No matter what race or nationality you come from, it's a wonderful poem.